XRP investors are too smart. I'm not even saying that as a joke either. They're actually too smart. You've invested in the right assets. You've seen what's coming. You know what's coming down the line. You can see the change of the whole financial system. You can see that there are astronomical price points for XRP down the line. You can see all of it. And you're so clear about all of it too. But in looking to the future and dedicating all of your attention there, you've missed something fundamental. Now, I'm speaking off the top of my head here. I spoke to someone on a call just about an hour ago, and this topic of conversation came to mind because it was so relevant. And because I talk about exit strategy a lot, taking profits a lot, but I also talk about the value of XRP in the future, I think this is where it's highlighted how much of the XRP community is very blinded. Very blinded. But not because you're not seeing it, not because you're like dumb or anything. It's actually the opposite. It's actually because you see where it's going in the future. And it's just clouded things. So I want to talk about that clouding, essentially. That's what I'm here to do. So for the majority of time, when I've talked to people in person, online, everywhere about XRP, in the comments, the one big feeling is that XRP equals HODL. Like that's just a given. And so what it creates is, on this wider scope of the XRP community, is that if you hold XRP, you hold XRP. You don't do anything with it. And I get the sentiment. I absolutely get the sentiment. Because, and I'll explain how I understand the sentiment. If this XRP is to be $10,000 in the future, let's say, it's going to be a very valuable asset in the future, and I've got 10,000 tokens, I'm going to have $10 million when it gets there, and I'm just going to hold it. I want $10 million. But the question is, at what cost do you want $10 million? Because waiting all of that time, you're actually spending an asset that is significantly more valuable than $10 million, significantly more valuable than any amount of money possible. And that is your time. I'm not sure if you're aware, but you're going to die. Sorry to be head on about that. I'm going to die too. Everything I can see out my window here will die and disappear. Everyone I've ever known or could possibly know will die. So what you come to the conclusion of is you can see I'm not editing it because I'm stumbling here. Money is basically infinite. They clearly just print money whenever. They don't print time whenever. So considering they can just make money out of thin air, and you can't take time out of thin air. You can't make time out of thin air. In a way, you actually can. I talk in my program about how you can actually warp your experience of time based on a few things, but that is proprietary knowledge. So aside from your ability to warp time in the way that I describe in my program, you can't make time. You can't make objective time. You and I experience time in the same way. We might not experience time in the same way, but I measure an hour the same way you measure an hour. So there's objective time and subjective time. In the program, I talk about subjective time a bit more. But with objective time, you can't make more objective time. I got there in the end, guys. But you can make more money. And so the true valuable asset is actually your time. The problem is the process of waiting for the money means you have to spend the valuable asset. I hear a lot of people talk about how, why would I ever sell crypto? Certainly, why would I ever sell it into fiat currency? right? You see that logic? Like, why would I put my money into something failing like the dollar? Why would I not just keep it in stable coins or in the asset itself and never sell it? Okay, well, I'm going to use the same argument here. Why would you hold on to crypto but give time? Time is the more valuable asset. You need more time. You don't need more money. Do you know what I mean? There is a level where you need more money, right? I think there's a reasonable level that everyone falls within. Like, a reasonable amount of money is going to make a massive difference in people's lives. But if you spend a good chunk of time on something, it's not worth. There's no amount of money that's worth. If I offered you $100 billion now, but you die tomorrow, like you don't wake up tomorrow, you're just not taking the money. Does it not show how valuable time is? So, just to get back to the point, the XRP community is a hodl mentality community. And I'm telling you, I understand why. These could be such high prices. Why don't we just wait a bit and make loads of money? I get it. But in my personal opinion, I think some people will resonate. Of course, some people won't and don't care. I'd rather not spend time in return for an unknown future amount of money. What I would rather do is ensure that I have a more certain amount of money, albeit less, that will allow me to spend less time waiting and spend more time living. I don't think that's unreasonable. And like, really, anyone can think whatever they want. That's a given. Anyone can think whatever they want about the future of XRP. But ultimately, please ask yourself the question as to whether you're willing to give time in return for an indefinite amount of money. If you don't value time at all, don't worry about this. Like, you probably have left the video already. In fact, I'm trying not to waste too much of your time watching this video, to be honest. So let's try and keep it brief. But these are the thoughts that are going on in my head. I think the only way to save your time, considering we have a finite amount of time, the only way to save that time is to inject deliberate and effective action now to free up the time. More specifically, instead of thinking about the future so much, instead of thinking about borrowing and lending from banks, instead of thinking about the cash flow you're gonna generate and AMMs and tax and all of these questions, very valid questions later. Very valid questions later on. The most valid question right now, as it relates to spending time and also benefiting in the short term from your effort in crypto, is to put a plan of action in place. Like, many of you, I would say many of you have a plan. That plan probably sounds something like, I'm probably going to sell 3% at $50, 5% at $100, it's that kind of mentality, that kind of plan. The problem with a plan is that without action, it's useless. That is why you need to create a plan of action. There is no point in a plan if you don't take action on anything. It's the action that's the important part. And if you're focused on the future so much and about the future potential of everything, and that is the sole focus of you and your brain waves and your bandwidth, then you will never take action on anything because you're waiting passively for something to happen. That's not how it works. How it works in reality is you put actions in place and repeat those actions over time, and in the end you will end up at your destination. But the big point here is that by the time you get to the destination, you won't have spent time. You will have had a different experience of your time in that waiting period. You'll have experienced life rather than wasting it waiting for these indefinite, unknown amounts of money. Right. My daughter's come home. She's crying. You can probably hear that. If you want to set a plan of action in place, you can click the link in the description, book a call with me or my team, and we can sort you out. I've got to go.